Hi guys, it's your girl Lisa Rose. So I am actually on a turn right now. I'm on a turn right now. So I left from JFK. I'm in Daytona Beach, and I was supposed to head right back out with only like 45 minutes in between my flights, but we ended up getting a ground hold. So I'm gonna be stuck here for another maybe about 30 minutes before we can start our boarding process. So I figured, why not go ahead and record another video for you guys, because I know I had mentioned in my very first room tour video that I would tell you guys about my first flight, and I lost the footage. So I decided, why not kill two birds with one stone, relax and record my video that I said I was going to share with you guys. So let's see, let's kind of rewind back in time. So very first flight, I had already kind of made up in my mind in training that I felt really confident about, doing the job. Didn't really have too many issues of things that I was kind of unsure of. So whatever they kind of threw at me, I was ready for it. So I kind of had some things that I really wanted to happen on my first flight and some things that I didn't want to happen. So some of the things that I really wanted to happen was I wanted to fly lead, and basically what that means is I would fly in the number one position. And if you know anything about airline industry, we have positions on the aircraft, determines where you sit at, what sections you work with the plane, what responsibilities you have. So the lead, of course, is going to be the one with the most responsibility. And I'm used to that. I've had jobs in the past where I've been store managers, supervisors. I've been a boss. So it was going to be an easy transition for me to step in one leader role to the next. So I wanted to fly lead, and I also, what else did I want for my first flight? I think that was kind of it. I wanted to fly anywhere domestically. I didn't have any restrictions on that. I will say the one thing that I really did not want for my first flight is I didn't want to fly international. And the reason why I didn't want to fly international is because when you fly international, there's paperwork involved depending on the destination. And even though I have the resources to figure out those kind of things of what paperwork would be needed for all of the customers on board, I didn't feel 110% confident in knowing those things. So I kind of just was like, let me wait, let me do another flight, or maybe 2-3 flights in, maybe I can see somebody else do it, see how the flow of things go, and go from there. So considering I only had a few things that I really wanted, a few things that I didn't want, I felt like this should have been a breeze, a walk in the park. So when I first started, I was on a block of 6 days. So what that meant was I was on call, because I'm on reserve still. So I was on call for 6 days straight. So that means that they could call me at any point in time during the designated hours that I was on call for those days to assign me for a trip. That trip could have been as little as a turn, fly somewhere, fly right back, or it could have been as long as a 4-day trip, which is the longest trip that we have. So I'm sitting at home first day, don't get used. Sitting at home second day, don't get used. Sitting at home third day, I get a call and they send me to airport standby. So basically airport standby is gonna be where I come to the airport fully dressed, ready to go. If they need me for a trip, they'll call me. Otherwise, that's kind of it. I don't get used. I'm just there, readily available for them. So I was on airport standby, and maybe with about 2 hours left, I get a phone call from crew scheduling. Woo, I'm so excited, y'all. So I get my very first call. So the lady's like, so we have a trip assigned for you. You're going to be doing a Cancun turn. Yay! Oh my gosh, I got international. The one thing I did not want for my very first trip, I get an international trip. So I'm like, okay. She's like, you have like an hour and a half before you have to show up for the flight. So I'm trying to just like get myself together. I go to the bathroom, freshen up my makeup, trying to mentally prepare myself for it. So I go to the bathroom, and I run into another flight attendant, and she I don't know if she could just tell I was like super excited about getting my first trip or what, but she was like asking me questions, and I was telling her how I was brand spanking new, had not flown yet, and she was like just giving me some, some little encouragement and some tips for my very first flight. And I tell her where I'm going, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're gonna do great. And she's like, so what position are you flying? So I was like, you know what? I haven't even looked, but I was like, crew scheduling, they didn't tell me, so so I must be in a good position, or if I was like number one, like they would have told me on the phone. So she was like, well, whatever position you get, you'll do great. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I finish what I'm doing in the bathroom, and I go back out and sit down, and something's like, look and see what position you're flying. So I go and look so I go and look and see what position I'm flying, y'all. And guess what position I'm flying? You guessed it, number one, lead on an international trip. So I got one thing I really wanted and one thing I really did not want, y'all. So you can only imagine, when I seen my name with the F1 position, my heart was like pounding, y'all. I was like, oh my gosh. So what am I gonna do? I have to figure out this paperwork. Like, this is gonna stress me out. So my mom always taught me, you fake it till you make it. You are smart, you're very, very resourceful, like you'll figure it out. Don't doubt yourself, because the minute you doubt yourself, others are going to be able to see that doubt, and they're not going to have faith in you as your number one. So just trust in the fact that you just got out of training, you know your material, you have your resources, so just hold on to that. So I'm like, okay, I can get through this, y'all. So I finally get to the flight. I'm the number one, and there's two other positions. Y'all, those two other positions were senior flight attendants. When I say senior, one guy, he had been working for the airline for 8 years, and the other girl had been working for 13 years. So imagine me, first day out on the job, like, compared to these people, I felt like I was like this big compared to them. But fake it till you make it. I had to put a smile on. I had to stand up straight, show that confidence, and let them know, like, I'm your leader. Like, you can look to me if there's an issue. Like, I got you guys. I'm gonna support you. We're all in this together. We're a team. So, put my smile on. And so first thing that I would tell you, learn from my mistakes, y'all. So for all of you guys who are aspiring to be flight attendants, who are in training, or those of you who are waiting for your very first flight, or even just new to the line, my advice to you would be, do not tell people you're brand new. Like, let your work ethic speak for itself. Do not go around saying, it's my first flight, it's my second flight, like I did. No, don't do that to yourself. Because that's one thing that I really noticed on that flight, was when I had told my two other flight attendants and my captain that it was my very first flight, they looked at me like, oh snap, what is this girl gonna do? Does she know what she's doing? Is she gonna be a hot mess? Is she gonna be like straight up to the T by the book? Like, they just didn't know how to perceive me. And I'm a strong believer in, the proof is in the pudding. Look at how I work, look at how I carry myself. That speaks volumes than me sitting here saying I've been a flight attendant for 15 years. Because you can be a flight attendant for 20 years and still not know what you're doing and doing stuff wrong. Or you can be somebody fresh out of training and be doing everything correctly. Because if there was an FAA inspector on your flight, they're gonna be looking at the one who's doing the things correctly. So, just hold that information to yourself. Unless you really just feel comfortable with the person, I would say, don't share how long you've been with the airline. If they ask now, I tell them, oh, I'm not comfortable answering that, or I just let them know I've been here long enough, girl, or just curve that little question on them, because that's not that important. So I told them that, and like I said, they kind of have perceptions about me as if I didn't really know how to do my job. Hold on, y'all, I'm gonna check to see if we're boarding. Okay, so we're not boarding. So since they had the perception about me, I kind of felt like I had to work a little extra harder to get them, excuse me, y'all. I felt like I had to work a little extra harder to get them to kind of trust in me as their F1. So of course there were little things that I kind of felt unsure about, because one thing y'all learn when you're in training, they teach you safety related things, medical, they teach you FAA regulations, stuff that you really have to stick to by the book. Little things that are involved with your job, they're more on the job training type things. So there's so many opportunities where you might do little things wrong, and they're not detrimental to how the flight runs, but you're just new and you have to kind of learn how things gel together when you're actually on the flight. So there were little things like, oh, that ding means this, or double ding means that, or make this PA at this specific moment. You know what I'm saying? So it was little things like that that I was forgetting. And one of my flight attendants, she felt that it was her duty as a senior mama to correct me, and correct me in a way that I didn't necessarily agree with, just for the sake of protecting people's names. And you know, I ain't about being a snitch and all that, so I'm not gonna really go into detail of how they went about it, but it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I didn't feel comfortable with them treating me that way. So it came down to the point of me as a number one. I had to speak up for myself. I had to start taking the initiative, and I had to start showing them with my actions, rather than saying, hey, I don't like you doing that. I took lead. Hey, I'm your number one, let me be the number one. Because yeah, so we get through the flight, we get to service, we do service. Service is great. They're looking at me like, why is it taking you so long? And I'm like, yo, this is my first service, like give me a break. So I get through service. Of course, they're already done by the time I finally get done. They were really cool about it. We get ready to start our, it was before initial descent. So maybe we had about, I want to say maybe about 40 minutes left before we're supposed to land. So this is where we're supposed to start paperwork. So I pull out my resource and I look and see all the different types of paperwork that we need. And y'all, we didn't have all the paperwork that we needed. I must have freaked out so bad. Like, we didn't have enough of the paperwork. We didn't have all the types of paperwork. And as a number one, it was my responsibility to make sure before we left JFK, we had all of the correct documentation that we needed, so that nobody would have any issues getting into Cancun. So I'm talking to my number two. She's like trying to tell me what I did wrong. And I'm just like, yo, I know I messed up. There's nothing we can do about it. We're already in the air. We're about to land soon. Like, help me out. What is the solution at this point? You can go over the details of like how to prevent this once we get on the ground and actually have time to pay attention to what you're saying. But right now we need a solution. So I think she could kind of tell that by my attitude and my tone towards her. Like, I was like asking her, I was like, okay, well, I understand that was a mistake that I made, but what are our options right now? What do we have that we can do to still make sure that, you know, there's no issues for all of these customers? So she went through the paperwork. She actually showed me there was another form in there that I could use, and it was only like, there were Spanish ones as well as English. So I was able to give out some of the Spanish versions to some of the customers instead, which made it so much easier, y'all. Oh my gosh. When she told me that, I was like, girl, why you didn't say that from the beginning? You just like stressed me out for no reason. So we hand out the paperwork. We finally get it back. We land. Everybody gets off. I'm like, whew, one leg down. Okay, time to come back. So I fast forward. Flight back was so much better. Coming back into the U.S., all we had to do was do like a U.S. customs form. So it was one form that we had to fill out. So much simpler. I was kind of learning the gist of things. By the end of the flight, y'all, the captain, the number two and the number three was like, oh, you're actually really good at this. And I'm like, actually, like, y'all doubted me? Okay, I got you. Partially my fault for telling you I was brand new, but I got you. Like, and that's what it's all about. So like, for those of you who are brand new, like, trust in training. Even though training might seem like it goes by super, super quick, and you're retaining so much information so quickly, like, you know that stuff. When the time comes for you to know that material, you know it. So don't doubt yourself. Don't tell people you're brand new. Don't give off the impression that you don't know what you're doing. Fake it till you make it. You have your resources with you at all times, where you can go, you know, read back on them. If you have somebody in your crew that is giving off the impression that they don't trust in you, they don't trust in your ability or your knowledge, don't go up to them asking them a million questions. Use your resources and, come back and have the correct answer, solution to whatever the issue is. It's good to always ask questions, of course, if you have a relationship with somebody. But that's the great thing about this position, this career. Like, you don't have to know everything off the top of your head. People who've been here for years don't know everything off the top of their head. That's why they give us the tools that they give us to make sure that we can be successful while we're out here. Yeah, you have your basics that, the foundational things that you need to know, but on top of that, like, don't let these people stress you out. If it's a position, if it's a destination, whatever it could be, like, don't psych yourself out like I did. Like, be confident, trust in your ability, know that you got it, you got through training, you passed. Like, no lie, I've heard horror stories about people losing 13 people in a training class. That's a lot. I think in my training class we only lost 4 people, 4 or 5 actually. I think 5 people. So it's just like, y'all, if you make it through, you good. Like, you really good. So yeah, so my first flight, I did it, I got through it, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about crews. You'll have some crews where you really, really, really love who you're working with. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to work with you again. And you'll have crews where you're like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't fly with you again. Either way, you got to put your professional face on. You got to do your job. You can't play this role of I like you, I don't like you. We're a team in the sky. Like, there's no favoritism, there's no bullying, there's none of that stuff. Like, when you're in the sky, if there's an emergency, it's no, I don't want to work with her, or I don't want to work with him because I don't like him. No, you pull together and you do what you got to do. So just come into it with that same attitude. You'll learn the type of trips that you like. You'll learn where you like to go, where you don't like to go, who you like to work with, who you don't. And you can work with them once and probably never see them again, depending on your airline. If it's a really big airline, you'll probably never work with them again. So I just hope that my first flight actually encourages somebody, and it just lets you guys know, like, you guys are awesome. The ones who are pursuing, who are just in training, and those who are about to start, like, you guys are all awesome. So don't give up on it. Don't let a negative experience kind of taint this career, this lifestyle, because it really is an awesome flight. I've met some amazing people in the how many months have I been here? Oh my gosh, it'll be 1 month not next week, in a week and a half. No, it'll be 2 months in a week and a half, I think. In like 2 weeks, let's just say 2 weeks. So in about 2 weeks, it'll be 2 months for me that I've been on this job. And I met some amazing people, had great experiences, and learned a lot. Oh my gosh, when I say I learned a lot, I learned a lot. So yeah, so I hope I wasn't like rambling and talking on, but I totally wanted to make this video for you guys because I was excited to finally tell you guys about my first flight and the fears and the reservations that I had, and also the great things that came out of it. So hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, guys, to my channel. And thanks for watching. Bye, guys.